And good evening and welcome to another edition of Sports Corner. My name is Ralph Williams, and on the telephone tonight is my co-host Smoking Jim Frazier. Smoking Jim, welcome to the program. All right, great. Thank you for being on as always. Tonight we're in the DJ Fun Studios up here in the Allentown section of the city of Pittsburgh. Brought to you by DJ Fun. Call DJ Fun today, 412-545-4317 if you need a DJ for a party or a wedding or special event. Also, DJ Fun's prices are nowhere near what they're charging out there, folks. And let me tell you, I spoke to DJ Fun last week. He had a meeting with someone, and they told him that they talked to a DJ, and he wanted $1,500 for a 4-hour wedding. That doesn't happen with DJ Fun. Give him a call today, 412-545-4317. Don't delay. Call today. Dates are booking up fast. Okay, let's talk about our sponsors tonight. Hillcrest Farm of Richmond, Ohio. Grain, hay, beef. Don't forget to stop at Richmond, Ohio. It's only 45 minutes from Pittsburgh. It's up the hill from Steubenville, Ohio. Stop in, see Caitlin and Taylor. They will take very good care of you. They have some really good package deals you might want to look at. Their variety box, $195, 4 pounds of burgers, 10 pounds of ground beef, 2 packs of filet mignon, 2 roast beefs, and 10 steaks. Roast box, $200, 7 roasts, and 30 pounds of ground beef. Now, here's the best one. Ground beef box, $95 for 20 pounds of ground beef. You can't beat that price anyplace. So call Hillcrest Farms today at 740-346-5442, 740-632-2894, or email them at hillcrestfarmsohio@gmail.com, and check out their website, www.hillcrestfarmsohio.com, and also on their Facebook page. Also, I want to talk to you tonight about 412 Draft. 412 Draft is a brand new website that is hosted by my friend Joe Kuglis, friend of the show. He's been on Sports Corner. He was on for the draft and post-draft show. He has a website now called 412 Draft 412. Dave Finoli, several other great people are on that website. They talk about drafts of all kinds. They talk about the NFL draft, the hockey draft, the baseball draft, anything that is concerned with a sports draft. You can find it on Draft 412. So go on their website. They have very low subscription rate of $9 a month. So get on there now. Draft 412. Okay, tonight we have a very special guest. We have 2 tonight. First, we're going to start off with Bernard Clark Jr., the head coach of Robert Morris Football. And welcome, Coach Clark. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Coach Clark. Coach, I want to ask you a question about the team this year. What's your team looking like this year?
Actually, spring ball went extremely well. We did a great job of bringing in probably about 27 transfers. So we did a great job of spring ball. I think we're going to look pretty good. We got a quarterback. We're thinking quarterbacks are competing real hard and getting after it. So we're excited about it.
Coach, how has the transfer portal treated you? I know some universities are having issues with it, both in basketball and football. Has it treated you good at all?
We've been fine with the transfer portal. It really hasn't hurt us, and it's really helped us more than anything else. We've relied on it heavily this offseason. Before, we didn't rely on it heavily as we did this offseason, but it really worked out well for us. The guys that we brought in, we feel real strong about those guys, and those guys are doing a great job.
Have you been able to? Who's the toughest team in your conference this year?
In the conference, it'll be Gardner Webb. They were the winners last year of the conference. They went on and playoff, won in the first round of the playoffs, and got to the second or third round, I believe. The toughest opponent next year, obviously, is going to be Air Force, because we've got to go out there and compete against Air Force in that altitude and everything else that goes along with it.
I bet Youngstown State is tough.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And they're up the street. Youngstown State is always tough. They're tough.
I was in Youngstown. I had to go down there for an unfortunate circumstance. My nephew was, who just passed away last month. He was in a hospital down there, and I drove around the university. Very nice place, but I've seen them play football too. They're a quite tough team.
Definitely knows. There's no doubt about it. Condolences to your nephew, man, but there's no doubt about it. They're a very hard-nosed team that plays hard. Last time we played them, it didn't fare very well, but hopefully this time we can do a little bit better.
Talk about, I understand you have a book out and it's being sold on Amazon. Talk about your book.
The book is called Ascension, A Coach's Guide to Becoming a Better Man, Husband, and Father. And it really has nothing to do with football. It's actually a book about when you have a little boy and you have a little girl, you just talk to them differently. And you tell a little girl to wait till she's married. Her body is precious. It's a temple of God. Don't just let any man lay with you. Why don't we tell our young men the same exact thing so our young men can come to love themselves? And that's what the book is about. It's about young men coming to love themselves and understanding that, hey, your body is precious. You can't just give your body to any woman, and understand you've got to be selective when it comes to partners. So that's what the book is all about, helping young men come to love themselves.
I see. What's how many seniors do you have on your team this year? Are you looking to do you have a lot of experience on your team?
We do, and that's probably the one thing we went out to do. We went out and got experience. And in the transfer portal, we got a lot of grad guys from winning programs, grad guys that were hungry. So we're going to have a few more seniors. So I'm not exactly sure right now how many we have, because we still got some more grad guys that are going to come in the fall. But I'd say as of right now, we probably got 10 to 12 seniors. But those guys have played. They've been in different positions, been in different teams. They're hungry. And so those are things that are important. We want to get some guys here that understand what our locker room is all about. Our locker room was probably the biggest key to us last year not winning the way we were supposed to. And that was on me. The locker room kind of got away from it a little bit, and we didn't have control of the way we need. But we have some guys in there. We're putting guys in there in the right spot to make sure we keep a handle on that thing this year.
I know you had somewhat of a poor record last year. What is the thing you need to improve on most for your team this year?
Well, we didn't have a poor record. We had a horrible record. So, and I'm not offended.
Oh, thanks.
That's exactly what we had.
The whole enchilada.
We had a horrible record. But the thing about it is there's winning and there's learning. And a friend of mine told me that. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to learn from those mistakes we made last year. We're trying to capitalize on those mistakes. And that's why we recruited differently this year. We're changing up our offense a little bit. We're changing up our defense a little bit, trying to make it more friendly for our guys so they can play fast. And that's the thing that's important to us, letting our guys play fast and getting after it.
I see. Coach, tell us how's your championship game work in your conference? How's that work?
Well, we've just joined it's the Big South and the OVC now. So we're kind of a super conference, I guess that's what we want to call it that. And so the way it works right now is a situation, if we still win and we're still in the top, if we finish number one in the Big South, we go to playoffs. So that's how it works. And I think if they're number one in the OVC, they're going to playoffs. So we still have that automatic bid. The other bids are still kind of in the air as far as, if not, if you tie and all that other stuff, they got a whole lot of system in the OVC and in the Big South. If you tie with this team or you tie with that team, then this team goes based on numbers. I don't know how all that works. I just know you got an automatic bid.
How does what's your home schedule look like this year, Coach? How's it looking?
It's pretty good. I mean, I think it's going to be we got some teams coming in there. We got St. Francis, one of our old foes from when we were in the Northeast Conference, the NEC. We got them coming, but we also have Gardner-Webb's coming down this year, the championship of the conference last year. We got Tennessee Tech, team we never played. They're going to be here with us, and we got a couple more teams. Our homecoming is going to be excited. We're going to play a night game. They talked me into playing a night game. I'm not real crazy about night games. I don't like sitting around all day waiting for the game to go. But our first game against St. Francis is going to be a 6:30 game, so we're excited about that. But we're going to have good home games.
Smoking Jim, do you have any comments for Coach Clark? All right, Smoking Jim, that's great. Thank you very much. Bernard Clark Jr., head coach of Robert Morris. Smoking Jim Frazier, my co-host. He's on the phone, so I want to introduce you to him. And also, don't forget, Coach Clark, we have our radio show coming up June 20th. It starts on Beaver County Radio. It'll be our pleasure to have you on and support Robert Morris football. It's been a while, probably since Joe Walton, that I've actually kind of supported it a little bit, but it's great to support it with you as coach. So
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. June 20th, I may not be around, but roughly after that, I'd love to get on the show with you and love to talk a little bit more, Ralph.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be on June 20th from 5 to 6 p.m. We're going to be on every Tuesday night on Beaver County Radio. It'll be the TV edition of Sports Corner. We also do the radio edition. We also do a TV version in Pittsburgh on PCTV Channel 21, Comcast, 47 Verizon Cable if you live in Allegheny County. If you live outside of Allegheny County, you can catch it on PCTV's Facebook page as well. And so we do a lot, Smoking Jim and I, with Sports Corner. It'll be our pleasure to have you on either the TV or the radio show as well. It's been a pleasure having you on tonight, everybody. My guest, Bernard Clark Jr., who is the head coach of Robert Morris football. He is his team is going to be playing this fall, and we're going to see how Robert Morris does. And I wish you a lot of luck, Coach Clark. Thank you for being on the program, and I'd like to have you come on again sometime. Have a good night and be safe. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was Bernard Clark Jr., head coach of Robert Morris football. What's your thoughts, Smoking Jim? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And you know what? That's always a great thing with a football coach, Smoking Jim. You know that, and I know that. That not only do they need to develop them as players, but they need to develop them as men. And I think you'll agree with me on that. And that's one of the better things with a head coach. Oh, we were going to talk about that. If you want to talk about that now, we can do that now. I got this to say. Bob Huggins, and I'm not trying to degrade anybody, Smoking Jim, and I think you'll agree with me on this. Bob Huggins was a drunk when he coached in Cincinnati. That was the reason he got fired, was because he was a drunk in Cincinnati, and now he probably was drunk in West Virginia, because technically in West Virginia there's nothing to do there. So you might as well drink and gamble and have no money, because that's what most people do. And I have nothing against West Virginians. I really don't. There are a lot of you that are good people there, but there are some people that just all they do is get drunk, So, but yeah. So anyway, I want to thank again Coach Clark for coming on tonight. Smoking Jim, I got to tell you, I have some top tens tonight that are really going to be great, and we got a lot to talk about, a lot to catch up on, because we were busy with the draft the last couple of weeks, and it was great to have Joe Kuglis on last Thursday on our TV show. We had a lot of great feedback on that show, a lot of great feedback, and a lot of views on the draft show and the post-draft show. So, Sports Corner's moving along here, Smoking Jim, and we're going to continue to move on. Before we get started with Steeler stuff, I have a top 10 tonight. One from CBS Sports and the other one from Sports Illustrated tonight. And one of them is CBS Sports. Will start off with first the top 10 Steelers of all time. You ready? All right. They have at number 10, Mike Webster. What do you think of that? Oh, yeah. Rod Woodson, number 9. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jerome Bettis, number 8, the bus. Number 7, Troy Polamalu. Number 6, Mel Blount. Number 5, Jack Lambert. I know that got me. This is CBS Sports and all. The next one we're going to do is the same one, but by Sports Illustrated. Okay, but the number 4, you're not going to. I didn't believe us. I didn't think he'd be this high. Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, I like Ben, but I didn't think he'd be this high. There's other guys I think that deserve his spot. What do you think? There you go. Oh, well, Terry Bradshaw, number 3. Franco Harris, number 2. Ready for number 1? You got it. How'd you guess? You figured that out. All right, you knew it. Okay, now, we don't need to worry about number 1 for Sports Illustrated because they have the same thing. All right, so Joe Green's at number 1, but we're going to go with number 10. I can't believe it's number 10, Mel Blount. Number 9, Terry Bradshaw. Number 8, Franco Harris. Number 7, Dermontti Dawson. Number 6, Rod Woodson. Number 5, Troy Polamalu. Number 4, Jack Ham. Number 3, Mike Webster. And Jack Lambert is, yeah. They have Mike Webster at number 3. This is Sports Illustrated now. At number 2, Jack Lambert, and of course Joe Green, number 1. Okay, so there you are with that one. All right, Donnie Shell didn't make either list. You know what? That's a shame, John. Well, you see how long it took him to get into the Hall of Fame, Smoking Jim. It took him forever to get in there. So speaking of the Steelers, we're going to talk about rookie mini camps coming up soon. They also they invited Maverick Wolf. Maverick Wolf is the nephew of Craig Wolfley. Maverick Wolfley has been invited. He's a fullback, and he has been invited to the rookie mini camp. Okay. Also, they have signed former. There's a rumor circulating, and rumors are out there, and there's a bunch of them. So I'm assuming, being that there's a bunch of rumors coming from some great reports, I'm thinking that this could be a possibility. The Steelers are looking at signing former LA or current LA Charger free agent edge rusher Kyle Van Noy. Okay, Kyle Van Noy, edge rusher from LA Chargers. The rumors are having it that the Steelers are looking at him. Omar Khan, Andy Weidel are not done yet. From what I understand, they haven't packed up the box yet and said we're done with this. They're going to continue to do what they can to improve the team, the nuts and bolts. What do you think? Yes. Yes.
So if Maverick's anything like his dad, he's going to be very good, not only as a fullback, but great on special teams.
Okay, later on tonight, coming up about 9 o'clock, we're going to spend about 10 or 15 minutes with J.C. Allen. J.C. Allen writes for the PEWTER Report, and he's also the beat reporter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he's going to tell us what what's going on down there, Smoking Jim in Tampa Bay. What's the thought process in regards to the draft of Kalijah Cansey and Savasier Dennis. And Savasier Dennis has his number, Smoking Jim. And you ready? It's number 8. Number 8. So former head coach and CBS analyst Bill Cowher is now Dr. Bill Cowher. What do you think of that, Smoking Jim? Well, he decided to go to he went to Duquesne University. He was taking some classes, got his doctorate in something, and became Dr. Cowher. So now he is a doctor. So, hey, guess who was in Kansas City today to give a lady some a season ticket passes to the Steelers season this year? Cordell Stewart. Yeah, Cordell Stewart. Oh yeah, I've heard him on our competition station. I've heard him. Yeah, I've heard him on there. He does do a good job on there. He does. He has a good voice. I saw him on TV that time. Him and I forget who it was. They had some kind of show on one of the networks, on the national networks, about 10 years ago, and he was wearing this real tight suit. And I said, Cordell, man, you got to get something better than that. I mean, the button was popped out and everything. It was like, I said, come on, man, all that money you made in the NFL, man, didn't you bank it or something? I mean, come on, So. Oh, I've seen some of his sharp suits, man. I agree with you on that one. Yeah. I'll tell you what, tomorrow night on Talking Wrestling, Smoking Jim, we have a lot to talk about. I got plenty of stuff. Wait till you hear what I got tomorrow night. Oh, my gosh. And Thursday night, I have a surprise top 8. And it's just for Mark because it's the top 8 ECW events that ever happened. And they mentioned Mark's old company. The company he worked for. Yes. And they're mentioned at least 3 or 4 times in every one of these events that they ever did. So that's coming up on Thursday night. So I have a surprise for Mark. He's going to like this. It's the top 10 ECW events ever in the history of the company. and all the events that they talked about for this, believe it or not, has to do with Mark's old company competing with them. Oh, we got to do better than them. Oh, they're coming up behind us. Oh, it was a crazy top 8. So you'll see what it is. He'll know about all the events because he probably was involved in probably most of them when they were going up against ECW, or he knows about them. You know what I'm saying? Or he may have even attended them, for all I know. So all right, let's get back to some Steeler information here. They have an invite for a center. His name is Tasquari Wilson. Guess where he's from, Smoking Jim? Take a big guess. I'll give you a hint. It comes from a small college, okay? We drafted a guy in the first round in the 90s. Yes, North Carolina A&T. North Carolina A&T, man. He is a center, and he was invited into Steeler rookie camp. Also invited was versatile safety and rookie mini camp Terrell Swan, or something to that effect. Yeah, Terrell Swan was invited to rookie mini camp as well. Your thought? Go ahead. Hey, yeah, Hendon Hooker. Yeah, Hendon Hooker. Oh, yeah? Oh, wow. Well, he slid way down in the draft, which of course you knew that was going to happen. He had that injury and everything, you know what I mean? So, well, after we're done talking Steelers, Smoking Jim, if we can get it in before J.C. Allen comes on, we have top 10 defensive and offensive prospects for next year in the NFL draft, and we'll go over those. I love my top 10s. You know that. So, thank you. Colorado 10, Pirates 1, 8th inning. Wonderful. Speaking of the Pirates, Smoking Jim, what's your thoughts on this current losing streak? Do you think they're back to the Pirates of old, or do you think they're just in some kind of a streak mode, a winning streak and then a losing streak? What do you think? Yeah, I heard Chip earlier, man. I heard him. He was quite adamant about that, and so but anyway, yeah, they broke the 7-game streak yesterday. They won, but now they're down 10-1. But like Chuck Tanner always would say, and I used to be a vendor at Three River Stadium, and I was working in the front row there. And I'll tell you 2 really good stories. I was working in the front row there, and it was bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and I forget who was up. I can't remember. It was in 1980, right after the 79, or no, not after the 79 World Series. It was about 83, 84. Yeah, that was about when I was old enough to work. So, yeah, it was about that time. So anyway, Chuck Tanner comes out. It was in the bar, and he comes out and he claps his hands and goes, "We still have a chance." Oh, no men on base either. 2 outs, 2 strikes. I forget who was up the bat. It was hilarious. He said, "We still got a chance," and they were down like 10-1. He said, "We still got a chance." I said, "Yeah, okay, Chuck. Okay, yeah." And then I'll tell you another really good one. I wasn't vending on the first level. I was a fan that time. I got some free tickets to the game. Same level, right down there on the first level on the first base side of Three River Stadium. And this vendor was selling hot dogs, right? And he comes up, and Pete Rose was playing for the Philadelphia Phillies, and he was playing first base. And this guy walks up and he yells real loud. He says, "Hot dogs here. Pete Rose on a bun. Come get your hot dogs." That was a good one there, I thought. That was a really good one. So, and then, here, I'll tell you a really good one. We never, ever had a pizza vendor. So it was this big, huge guy. He probably weighed about 500, 600 pounds. He took up like the whole row, Okay, I'm just joking. He only took up about 3 or 4 seats, but he took up almost the whole row. And he's sitting there, he's eating all kinds of food. He comes up to me, he says, excuse me. And I was selling well, then you had to be careful how you said Coke, because remember about the hearings? You had to be careful about how you said Coke. So anyway, he says, come here for a moment. I need to talk to you. I said, what's up? He said, can you tell me when the pizza vendor's coming by? Can you tell me when the pizza vendor's coming by? I thought that was pretty funny. All right, now we're going to bring him up from the waiting room here. JC Allen. JC, welcome to the program.
How we doing?
All right, thanks for being here. JC, tell everybody about yourself, what you do. I know you report for PEWTER, and I know you also report for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So tell everybody what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a Bucs beat writer over here in Tampa Bay for PEWTER Report, covering the Buccaneers. Been doing it with them for this is going into my 3rd season, but been covering the team for the last 4 years, pretty much the offseason since Tom Brady came here. So this is my going into my 4th offseason here. But kind of fell into the field. I no experience, no degree in journalism or broadcasting or anything like that. No prior experience before moving down here. I just happened to know a little bit about Tom Brady being from right outside of Boston, and that got my foot in the door. And I just worked hard, grinded till my opportunities became what they are today. And now I'm credentialed to the NFL, credentialed to the Buccaneers. I'm the Pro Football Writers of America Vice President of the Tampa chapter. And I'm having a blast doing what I love.
JC, tell us what your thoughts are. What's the thoughts down in Tampa Bay right now about the draft with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I know that they drafted 2 Pitt players. They started off in the 1st round with Kalijah Cansey, and then they drafted in the 4th round Savasier Dennis. What's the what's the fans saying down there in Tampa? What are their thoughts about the draft?
So I think immediately it was kind of shocked because PEWTER Report's dialed in. So usually what the Bucs are going to do, we put out a series called Bucs Best Bets, and we've nailed the last 3 first-round draft picks in a row. So Cansey pick was kind of very under the radar. The Bucs didn't show a lot of interest in him publicly. They didn't bring him in for a top 30 business visit. They met quietly with him at the combine, but didn't meet with him or have any Zoom meetings. He was shocked when he was drafted by the Bucs. So they kept it really quiet. But I think people are really starting to warm up to the idea. When you look at that 3 tech, that pass rushing 3 tech, you don't see many of them come out. The draft over the last few years have been really down at that position, especially. So with the selection of him to pair him next to Vita Vea, you're having echoing a little bit there.
Okay, JC, I'm sorry about this here. I'm having a little technical issues here. The reason, one other thing I wanted to ask you was, what do you think the entire draft is looking like for Tampa this year? What kind of grades did you give them? What do you think?
Yeah, I think with Cansey, like I was saying, preparing him with Vita Vea, you've got a guy already who's a space. He takes up space. It's 2 blockers on Vea. You got to account for him, but he can also get after the quarterback. So to pair Cansey with him, you've got now just 2 guys who can get after the quarterback in very different ways, but are very quick about it. Both of them are former running backs going back to their high school playing days. So I think the overall mood, what I thought about the draft was it wasn't flashy, right? The first 2 picks are in the trenches. You go get another guy on the defensive line and Yaya Diaby. You come back, you grab Savasier Dennis, who obviously isn't going to be a starter for them with White and Levante there, but has really high upside. Then they, in the 5th round, they select Payne Durham, who's not a number one tight end, but a guy who's going to be a threat in the red zone, a guy who can do some damage blocking as well. They got a nice steal. A reach, if you will, with a guy like Josh Hayes, who some had an undraftable grade on, who can play corner, a little bit of that nickel safety. They get Trey Palmer, who was projected to be as high as a second or third round pick at one point out of Nebraska. Speedy guy, 1 year production kind of limited him, but you look at the reason why he had 1 year production, he was behind just a few wide receivers. I don't know, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I don't know if you heard about them. Keyshawn Butte, and then also Terrace Marshall Jr. So it was difficult for him to get playing time at LSU, hence why he made the transfer. They wrap it up with Jose Ramirez, another guy who a lot of people had, going as high as the third round, who had one of the best testing days, one of the best splits there at the combine. So, you look at the draft at the whole, was it sexy? No, but it fills immediate needs and it also plans for the future. Jason Light does a great job at not only drafting for the immediacy, but drafting for the future, and taking a look at his roster and really seeing, okay, where can we get better? Where can we get opportunities for these guys, whether that's, as a starting role, as a rotational role, or even as a, core special teamer. So when you look at this draft, one thing stood out more than anything, and that's character. These are all high character guys, talking to their coaches, talking to Kalasha Kansas coach, Coach Partridge over there at Pitt. He raved about him, called him a demon as a pass rusher, compared him to JJ Watt, who he coached at Wisconsin. Said, he's in a very, very high small percentage of guys in terms of how hard he works, how hard he runs to the ball, and not being lazy, learned how to work and became a first round draft pick. When you talk to all these other coaches, it's the same thing. These guys are working hard. Savasier Dennis, I just spoke with his coach, Coach Mandalak over there in Pitt, and he, said the same thing. Discipline, workman type mentality. He's got a great personality. He's going to work hard. His character, great guy, great integrity, passionate about the game of football, lives with high standards, always wants to be better. And that's the theme throughout all of these guys. But they're also very athletic. These guys can, they've got speed, they've got athleticism, and they've got production to match it as well. So when you look at what the Bucks brought in, they brought in guys with high character, leadership qualities, athleticism, speed, physicality, smarts, and most of all, guys who they feel are going to buy into their program and become great pros for them.
JC, how long have you been covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and with the PEWTER Report?
With PEWTER Report, it's been since 2021 off season. So I started with them in July. I was working with the Bucks with Bucks Report starting in around May of 2020 is when I started with them. So I had that first year with Tom Brady, the COVID year, covering with Bucks Report, and then I was recruited to PEWTER Report in 2021. So like I said, this is my fourth off season now, heading into it.
Let me ask you this: Is Todd Bowles on the hot seat this year? Is he walking on eggshells, or what's the thought process down there on that?
I think if you ask a certain contingent of fans, they'll say absolutely he's playing for his job. I think there's certain aspects of his job that he'll be playing for as well. But I don't know if the hot seat is, on keep warm right now or if it's dialed up to 10. When you look at Todd Bowles, since he's taken over as the head coach starting last year, he was kind of thrown the job by Bruce Arians out of nowhere in the middle of March. Everything had already happened as far as the coaching hiring. Free agency was already underway. He didn't really get to put a stamp on his team as far as coaching, as far as bringing in the players that he wanted to bring in. He had some input in the draft, but at that point everything was pretty much done and set, really, as far as the legwork. And still building a team for Bruce Arians now. Bulls and Bruce Arians have a lot in common. That's why they've been together at several stops of their career. But then you fast forward to this season. He still won the division last year, but you fast forward to this season, and with Tom Brady retiring and all these other different large cap hits the Bucs faced, he still really didn't have that opportunity to put his team together really the way that I'm sure he wanted to, being so limited with their cap space. Now, they made some amazing things happen. They brought Jamel Dean back. They brought Levante David back. They brought in some really, I think, really strong players that are going to impact this roster, and Greg Gaines, and obviously Baker Mayfield being one of them at quarterback, and also, like guys like Chase Edmonds and a few others. I think that can really kind of help put his stamp on. But I don't know if he's necessarily, if you look at the last two off seasons, had a chance to say, okay, we're in a good situation here,
Right.
and via cap space, via timing, and I can really put my stamp, put my full stamp at least on this team. I think this season more than last season, obviously, he's going to get that opportunity. But it really depends on where they finish. If this team, if you look at the NFC South as a whole, none of these teams really jump out and impress you. The Saints went out and got Derek Carr, and the Falcons went out and made a bunch of free agent signings, and Bryce Young is now the quarterback of the Panthers. But it's still a very soft division, and if you look at the Buccaneers team as a whole, there's still talent and Pro Bowlers and Hall of Famers up and down this roster. Mike Evans, Hall of Famer. Tristan Wirfs, he continues on his trajectory, especially making a move. If he does make a move to the left side, potential Hall of Famer. Ryan Jensen, multiple-time Pro Bowler. You switch to the defensive side of the ball, and you've got Levante David, who should be a Hall of Famer, but was always passed up in recognition for other guys, but has some of the best numbers out there. Vita Vea, Pro Bowler. Shaq Barrett, if he can come back healthy, Pro Bowler. Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean, two lockdown cornerbacks. Antoine Winfield Jr., Pro Bowler. Devin White, Pro Bowler. So they still have a lot of talent on this team. I think their identity is going to be, on defense, which is right up Bull's alley, and which is going to really kind of make or break his season, how well they perform. So they've got, if they finish bottom 5 in the league, I think you might see a coaching change. However, I think the Glazers would be reluctant to that, knowing, okay, last year you got it thrown in your lap. This year,
Right.
You got no Tom Brady and had to work with a limited salary cap. Let's see what you can do when all the circumstances are kind of in your favor in year 3. But it's going to take, I don't know if it's going to take a winning record, but it's going to take, I would say, at least 7 or 8 wins for him to probably stick around for year 3.
JC, thanks for being on the program tonight. And I know you have other things to do. So, Smoke and Jim, you have any questions for JC Allen?
Yeah, absolutely.
JC's also a big wrestling fan. He'll be on our show every now and again, Smoke and Jim. So also on the Thursday night show as well. So
absolutely, I'll be there this Thursday for sure.
JC, thanks for being on the program. Have a great one. Thank you. Be safe.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Thank you.
And that was JC Allen from the PEWTER Report, who covers the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Smoke and Jim, what was your thoughts about what JC had to say? Oh, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I was having a little trouble hearing him, but a little bit here. I'm having some issues with this new equipment. I'm trying to get the sound worked out to where I can hear it. I did hear a little bit of what he had to say, but I do know one thing though, down in Tampa, down there, Todd Bowles is probably is walking on eggshells down there. At least I would think. Also, I think Elijah Cansey and Savassier Dennis are going to do a few things for Tampa Bay. I think Elijah Cansey, being drafted in the first round, I think he'll be a really good player. He was supposed to be the next Aaron Donald. So we'll see what he does in the NFL. I think he's going to be a great player. Savassier Dennis, on the other hand, might be a little slow moving getting started. I think he'll play special teams maybe. We'll see where he goes from there as far as Savassier Dennis goes. They have a new offensive coordinator down there, a guy from Seattle who was their quarterback's coach there. I think he's already putting together a new game plan. They have your buddy Baker Mayfield down there. What do you think of that, Smoking Jim? Oh, yeah. I think Tampa Bay might go to the Super Bowl. How's that sound? So, all right. All right, let's get back to the Pirates. They brought up they called up outfielder Josh Palacio and designated right-hander Chase DeJong, who was a terrible pitcher to begin with. Starting pitching seems to be doing it, but tonight that guy they brought up, that Ortiz, he didn't seem to be doing too well tonight. They lost 10-1. Bad fielding, bad everything. What do you think, Smoking Jim? Can they rectify this ship and get back on another winning streak? You think it's going to be bad the rest of the season? All right. I'm sorry. Luis Perez was the one who pitched tonight. I'm sorry. But anyway, all right, the Penguins. Rumors the Pens might be interested in bringing back your big buddy who put a curse on his team, Marc-Andre Fleury. I've heard from just about every national report out there that says that the Pens are bringing him back, for his last hurrah before he retires. Would he stay 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? I don't know. He wanted to retire after the Minnesota Wild this past season. He wanted to retire. He might come back, I think, if Sidney Crosby asks him to come back. What do you think? Okay. Yeah. So Nick Bonino named Team USA captain. Evgeny Malkin named the King Clancy Memorial Trophy nominee, and also the Pens, they picked number 14 in this year's draft. And also, Smoking Jim, I have the list here of the candidates for their GM position, and it's pretty interesting. We have some interesting people here. All right, they have 5 candidates so far that they've revealed that they probably are most likely going to talk to. Jason Botterill, and the reason they're going to talk to him, he's the assistant GM at Seattle, worked with the Penguins under Jim Rutherford, was here once before. The next one is a woman named Amelia Castrogoge. She was the assistant GM in Vancouver right now under Jim Rutherford, who was the former GM here. Matthew Darcy, who is works in the front office for Tampa Bay. You know what? I tell you what, I'd hire him in a minute. Tampa Bay's been very, very tough for many, many years. The Lightning, they've gone to the Stanley Cup. They've given the Pens some fits. It's Tampa Bay has won their division many times. Kyle Dubas, Toronto GM, and Brad Treliving, Calgary Flames. What do you think of this list, Smoking Jim? Yeah, who do you think is out there right now, in your honest opinion, if you know who's out there? Who do you think they should hire? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you know what? It's a tough business being the head coach of a hockey team. I agree with you on that one. Okay, Pitt football real quick. Former Panther player Ricky Jackson went back to school, Smoking Jim, like Rodney Dangerfield, and he got his diploma. Graduated this weekend with the rest of the graduates there at Pitt. What do you think of that? All right, the schedule this year, September 2nd, they start the season off at home. This is a real tough game, Smoking Jim, against Wofford. This is really going to be one of the toughest teams in college football is against Wofford. All right, September 9th, they're at home against Cincinnati. Let me tell you what, And I'm going to tell everybody this. Do not sell the Cincinnati Bearcats short this year just because they have a new coach. Their new coach is Louisville's former head coach, Scott Satterfield. And let me tell you something. Scott Satterfield has beaten Pat Narduzzi so many times that he couldn't, Pat Narduzzi couldn't figure out how to do it through a paper bag. Okay? That is how much Scott Satterfield has owned Pitt. And he's going to own them with Cincinnati as well. He's with the Bearcats now as their head coach. Luke Fickell is now up in Wisconsin. So, here we are, college football season. You're ready to come up in the fall, and we're playing Cincinnati. We have a tough season this year, both in the ACC, because every team has gotten better this year, Smoking Jim, and also our non-conference schedule doesn't look promising either. It's a tough one. We play North Carolina at home on September 23rd. September 2, 9, and 23, straight up 3 games we are at home. Then September 16th, the backyard brawl at West Virginia. Let me tell you something. Neil Brown, I've talked to some friends of mine down there, people I know. They told me, and I know somebody on the alum, they told me that Neil Brown is on eggshells this year. If he doesn't do something at least a little bit better than what they've been doing, I think he's going to get fired. I would believe at the end of the season. And they had already fired the athletic director for talking to another university while he was still employed at West Virginia last year. So I'm waiting for that athletic director to fire Neil Brown if he has a bad year this year. So let's see what goes on there. September 30th at Virginia Tech. October 14th back home at Louisville. 21st at Wake Forest. Wake Forest is always a tough game there. October 28th at Notre Dame. And November 4th at home against Florida State. What are your thoughts on the schedule for Pitt this year, Smoking Jim? Yes.
The shelf.
Right.
If you look at this past draft, all the talent that they had and the numbers that they put up at the pro day, they should have won a lot more games than they did last year.
Right.
That's firmly on the coaches because it looked like they got the material there the last few years to be national championship caliber.
Oh, yeah. Also, November 11th at Syracuse, Dino Babers is on the hot seat again. We'll see what he does. He had a pretty decent year at the start of last year. The second half of the season fell apart. I was a Syracuse supporter. I thought they were going to really do it last year, and they failed at the end of the year and ended up being like 6-5. Boston College, Phil Jerkovic's former team, and the return of Dino Tomlin. What do you think of that, Smoking Jim? Hey, Smoking Jim, that's Thursday night, November 16th. We're going to cancel our show, and you and I are going to go to this game. I know you want to see Dino Tomlin play, so And then Saturday we have a tough game, November 25th at Duke. I told everybody not to sell Duke short last year. They thought they were going to be sad because they had a first-year coach, but they didn't realize that the first-year coach was a tough guy, and he had Duke in a bowl game, and they had the best record they've ever had in most cases. NFL Falcons signed cornerback Trey Flowers to a 1-year deal. XFL this Saturday, the championship game, Arlington Renegades, get this, Smoking Jim, they're 4-6 versus the DC Defenders for the championship of the XFL, and the Defenders are 9-1. What are your thoughts on this year's XFL season?
I'll tell you what, man, once the playoffs start, anybody can make it to the championship game. That's proof right there. I thought it was very successful. The ratings was up this year. And let's see if they can finish it up with a great championship game.
Oh, absolutely. Also, Major League Baseball, sad news to hear. Deaths of Ida Blue and Deacon Jones. Also, Dick Groat this last few weeks. What do you think sad about all this going on? Huh, Smoking Jim?
Well, Deacon Jones been there, but it's sad about Ida Blue and Dick Groat. I tell you what, man, two outstanding baseball players, and Dick Groat, baseball and basketball.
Right. All right, Smoking Jim, we got it's now time for our top 10 offensive prospects for the 2024 NFL Draft. And we'll start off with offensive prospects. You ready? Number 10, J.J. McCarthy, quarterback, Michigan. Number 9, Joe Ott, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. Number 8, Drake Mile, quarterback down at North Carolina. I watched this guy play last year, Smoking Jim. I think he's a pretty decent quarterback. I think he's coming into a senior year. I think he's going to do really well for the Tar Heels this year. Number 7, Quinn Ayers, quarterback, Texas. Number 6, Kingsley Savanthia, offensive tackle, BYU. Next, number 5, J.C. Callum, offensive tackle. Let me see here. Oh, that's Penn State. Number 4, Brock Bowers, tight end. I'm trying to, tight end. I can't remember where he's from. Oh, Georgia. No, Georgia. Yeah, Georgia. Brock Bowers. Yeah, I got it here. Can't understand my own handwriting. Isn't that wonderful? So anyway, Ozu Zazon, offensive tackle, Penn State. Marvin Harrison. Well, we know we're at number 2, wide receiver for Ohio State. And your favorite quarterback, number 1, Khalif Williams, USC. What do you think, Smoking Jim, of this top 10?
Somebody's going to get a steal there. Harrison got a lot of his daddy in his
Yeah, Marvin Harrison was a great receiver. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, it was wonderful to see that.
I think the quarterback from North Carolina and Michigan both need to improve in a lot of professional areas as far as I'm concerned. I know a lot of people are high on those two, but I haven't seen pro football performance type things that they need to do to be successful in the NFL. You got to do a little bit more than shucking and ducking, but they have an opportunity this year, to do that. So work on their weaknesses and see if they can improve and be ready for the next level.
Number 10, and we'll start off defensive players of 2024 prospects for the NFL Draft. You ready for this one, Smoking Jim? All right, we're going to start off number 10, Dallas Turner, edge rusher, Alabama. Number 9, Cooper DeJean, quarterback, Iowa. Number 8, Liatu Lato, edge rusher, UCLA. I call him Useless LA. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say it that way, but Chip Kelly's not as good as he once was. Anyway, Barrett Carter, linebacker, Clemson. Chop Robinson. Boy, he's going to give you a chop. When edge rusher for Penn State. Chop Robinson. Wow. Number 5, Deshaun Natoden, offensive tackle, or defensive tackle. I'm sorry. Wow. Illinois. I keep thinking of Kendrick Green every time I see Illinois. Ugh. All right. Number 4, Leonard Taylor, defensive tackle, Miami. J.D. Chumulu, edge rusher, Ohio State. And the next one is Colliget McHenry, cornerback, Alabama. And number 1, Jarrett Verse, edge rusher, Florida State. What are your thoughts on this list?
Several years, but they seem to come up short in the Big Ten now. With the talent they have, it comes down to coaching. Every once in a while, you got to out-coach the other guy, and especially if you have some material.
Right.
And the state player shows up on the top 10 list.
Yeah, they always do. They have great talent. I believe Terry Smith's still there as their chief recruiter. He's done a well of a job recruiting, and he always has for many years. And that was something that I was mad that Pitt let go. They could have had Terry Smith. They didn't want him, and James Franklin hired him up at Penn State. Look at the recruiting. But like you said, you have to coach them too. And if you're not winning games, it seems like James Franklin's another mediocre Mike Tomlin. He gets out-coached any day of the week. I've seen that happen many times with him. He just, he makes bad boneheaded calls and everything else. All right, we're getting ready to wrap it up shortly, Smoking Jim. We got some local sports to talk about. The Riverhounds play New England this Saturday at 7:30 down at Highmark Stadium. They are currently 2 wins, 2 losses, and 11 points. They also have 5 ties. The Saturday, May 23rd, or I'm sorry, yeah, okay, yeah. This Saturday, I'm sorry, they play Birmingham. Tonight they play New England at 7:30 down at Highmark Stadium. Saturday they have a short week. They play Birmingham in Birmingham, Alabama. And then they go away to Las Vegas and play the Las Vegas Trust down there in Vegas. So I'll tell them to stop by and talk to Josh McDonough and get some advice from him as to what's going on down there. Pittsburgh Passion 2-0. They beat their first game was April 22nd. They beat the DC Divas 41-15. May 6th at West Allegheny, where there's their home games, they beat the Tampa Bay Inferno 21-6. And also, they had a nice celebration, I hear, for Franco Harris. As you know, he was a part owner and supporter of the Pittsburgh Passion. Their next game is this Saturday at Boston. So that's some of our other local sports as well. And our Pittsburgh Maulers, they're 1-2, lost to Birmingham 24-20. I got to tell you, Smoking Jim, Ray Horton's defense looks very good. The problem is they're on the field too much. They have an offense that can't seem to score touchdowns. They score too many field goals. They score 1 touchdown a game if they're lucky, and the only reason they scored it this time was because the quarterback ran it in for a touchdown. They actually scored 2. They had another touchdown later on and a 2-point conversion. So they're getting better, but the defense is on the field too much. And you know what happens there, Smoking Jim. And another thing I'm angry about this, they have the same offensive coordinator from last year. Wonderful. So they've already won 1 game, so we'll see where they go. It's a 10-game season. So this coming Saturday, they play Michigan Panthers at Ford Field, 12:30 start time on the USA Network. Smoking Jim, any closing thoughts before we wrap this up? Oh, absolutely. We had some great guests on tonight. I want to thank Bernard Clark Jr., the head coach at Robert Morris Football, Robert Morris University, and J.C. Allen for the PEWTER Report, who is also he covers the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the PEWTER Report. And also, before we go, Smoking Jim, we got to find out where the beef is at. I think the beef is at Hillcrest Farms, and if you don't know where it is yet, then you haven't been watching this program very much, because it's down at Hillcrest Farms over there in Richmond, Ohio, 45 minutes from Pittsburgh, right up the hill from Steubenville. They have some great package deals. Call them today, and you can do that at 740-346-5442, 740-632-2894, and Hillcrest Farms, Ohio at gmail.com. Check them out on their website, hillcrestfarmsohio.com, and also on their Facebook page at Hillcrest Farm. Also, don't forget to get on the website of Draft 412. The hockey draft's coming up, and I'm sure you want to be informed as to what's going on with the hockey draft. Well, who are the Steelers or the Penguins going to take? What's going to happen with the Penguins? Joe Kuglis is there with his gang, and it's Draft 412. Get on their website, $9 a month, less than a cup of coffee per day, $9 a month. You can't beat the price. Try Draft 412. You want draft information? You want to get up to speed on it? You need to do the website Draft 412. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Talking Wrestling with myself and Smoking Jim Frazier here on our 4 platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. We will be at 7:30 p.m. live. And don't forget about Thursday night, Wrestling and Sports Talk. Myself, Smoking Jim Frazier, Mark Mancini, 7:30 Block Talk Radio. To listen, 347-205-9631. And Saturday morning, 9:30 instead of Friday, because I have prior obligations. Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m., Blog Talk Radio, 347-205-9631. Mark Mancini and myself and some possible guests. We are going to do the External Bum podcast, where we talk about bums in sports and also some of your favorite sports subjects and topics. Smoking Jim, thanks for being part of the program tonight. I really appreciate it. Also, don't forget about June 20th, everybody. Tuesday, June 20th, Smoking Jim. Call your friend, call your cousin, call everybody. Let them know about June 20th. Beaver County Radio, 99.3 and 95.7 FM and AM 1230 and AM 1460, and Beaver County Radio, who's owned by St. Barnabas Radio Network. St. Barnabas has purchased Butler County Radio. We're going to be on their stations as well coming soon. So you may want to look into that as well if you live up in Butler County or anywhere like that. We're going to be on their networks as well. So that's coming soon also. For Smoking Jim Frazier, I'm Ralph Williams. Smoking Jim, have a great night. Thanks for being part of the show. And also, I want to say thank you, everyone, for watching. Have a great night and be safe.